How's it going, guys? Tom here, and we're back for another episode of Showdown Slam. As we join off from last night's episode where we got a good 3 wins off under our belts, and we're continuing with the Dialga and Kyogre core that I built at the start of the week, the only change being since then that I've added the Cresselia, which was introduced yesterday. So we're going to go straight into this and get our first battle underway, as yeah, feeling pretty good about this week so far. I've learned a lot about this team, and we come up against a world's winning team again. So this team we had a match against in our very first episode on Monday, and we come up against it again. So let's see what we can do here. The leads here are quite unpredictable most of the time. I've seen Wolfie lead Kyogre and Rayquaza. I've also seen him lead the Gengar and the Raichu. Usually not the Hitmontop or the Bronzong. So we'll start off with let's go with the Dialga lead, and we'll start off with Kangaskhan as well. There's obviously a lot of fake out pressure here, so we can at least do something there. The Gengar, we should remember, can't really do anything against the Dialga. Most of this team can't except for the Hitmontop. So bringing Arcanine here sounds like a decent idea. The Intimidate would be nice against the Rayquaza because it does like to Swords Dance. The Cresselia is good for speed control, especially on the Rayquaza, so that should be thought about as well. And Kyogre is obviously very nice as well. But really it's only doing a job against the Rayquaza, and we have Dialga for that. So I'm feeling Cresselia and Arcanine in the back potentially. And maybe having a Kangaskhan Cresselia lead actually, which I'm going to go for. We'll have Arcanine in for potential Intimidates and Will-O-Wisps, and Dialga as well. Let's see how this goes. We can stay in non-Mega form with Kangaskhan, so we can guarantee some damage as we see Gengar and Hitmontop. So what we can do is go for the Power Up Punch. Hitmontop should be slower than the Gengar, I expect. Yeah, so no problems there. And with the Gengar, we will Thunder Wave it. Yeah, that seems like a good play. So yeah, Hitmontop goes for the Fake Out and the Taunt with Cresselia. So that's fine, not too concerned about that. We can go for some speed drops next turn. Oh yeah, the eject button, of course, I completely forgot. Oh no, so that's the Hitmontop's eject button. It's not a red card, so that's fine. We still keep our boosts. Let's see what our opponent wants to switch into. Hopefully it doesn't take as long as Wolfie takes to switch into his Pokemon. Otherwise we might be here for 15 minutes or so, if not a little bit longer, with the extra timer that you get. What could I expect you to switch into? Potentially the Raichu for some Nuzzle. We could also see, I feel like Rayquaza could also switch in here. I almost feel like the Raichu wants to come in and Nuzzle the Kangaskhan. Obviously we can't do anything about that given that we're trapped in here, we can't switch out. So it's the Kyogre actually, which is fine by me. And what we can do is potentially go for Protect here, make sure the Gengar can't Will-O-Wisp us, and we'll go for the Icy Wind onto the Gengar. I can't remember if the Gengar does have Will-O-Wisp or not, but I just want to play it safe here, make sure it can't burn us, and we can at least slow it down. It should be slower than Kangaskhan. So 200 speed, 1 stage of reduction would be about, I think, 137, and Kangaskhan should be just faster than that, as it is. 167 speed actually, that's quite a lot, more than I was expecting. That's not right, is it? Apparently so, 167 speed, okay, I'll take it. So it will be faster than the Cresselia, as the Gengar does go for the Will-O-Wisp actually, and the Scald from the Kyogre. So Icy Wind here, onto the Kyogre, onto the Gengar. Unfortunately we won't be able to get off a a thing, safeguard. So Kyogre protects, that's a pretty obvious play. We could have potentially power up punched our Cresselia there, expecting the protect, and then the burn wouldn't be doing anything. So something to bear in mind next time if we're thinking of that relatively predictable play. So really what we can do here is helping hand and double edge, and then you can't do anything about that at all. That essentially negates the burn, so we are double edging this Kyogre with 1 attack boost. Let's see if we can take it out. I expect we will. Just about, so that was very close. And Gengar does get the taunt off. And Kangaskhan is obviously hurt from the burn. So Hitmontop out here. What we can do is, it could just fake out again, or we could go for it could fake out the Kangaskhan. I mean, what's important to bear in mind here is that we have knocked out the Kyogre, which is a very significant damage dealer. The Gengar here obviously isn't looking to go for any attacks. It could Sludge Bomb this turn. But what I want to do is try and get as much damage off as we can. I do feel like a Power Up Punch on the Hitmontop could be good. We will outspeed it this turn as well. And it might not want to fake out the Cresselia because Cresselia isn't doing much here. So we don't really need the chip on it either, or the speed drops. So let's just go for a double edge. I feel like whatever damage onto the Kangaskhan now is going to KO it. So it does go for the fake out onto the Kangaskhan, that's fine. Icy Wind here. So this is why I didn't go for the protect onto the Kangaskhan, because I felt there was no need. If it fakes out Kangaskhan, fine, we don't get KO'd this turn, and we still get some chip onto the Gengar. And we can Icy Wind here again. So I feel like we are in a good position here. If we can knock out the Hitmontop, then we are trapping the Rayquaza and the Gengar instead this time. So instead of him doing the trapping, he's trapped in with us. And I do feel Dialga and Arcanine, which I think I brought in, is enough to do the business with this team, especially if we can get a burn onto the Rayquaza as well. That would be very nice. And obviously Gengar can't do anything at all to Dialga. So I feel so long as we can get the KO onto Hitmontop here, which I feel like we should, we've got enough chip damage onto it, we will go first. So it goes for the feint, wants to make sure it does damage. Actually, so that Hitmontop does live. And the Will-O-Wisp onto the Cresselia does some extra damage as well. So feint here, I don't think we'll pick up the KO. Now I don't want to bring in Arcanine just yet, because I do want that Intimidate onto the Rayquaza, Mega Rayquaza I should say. Actually no, it won't be Mega Rayquaza because Gengar has Mega'd. So this should be a relatively straightforward play. Icy Wind should knock out the Hitmontop unless it misses. So we'll go for, we did go for the Dragon Pulse, didn't we? Yeah, we'll go for the Dragon Pulse onto the Gengar and the Icy Wind onto the Hitmontop, as we do get the hit. So Hitmontop choosing not to feint there, so we won't go down to burn. So we're in a very good position here, 3v1 against the Rayquaza, which is always a nice position to be in. The Rayquaza could protect here, and I feel like because of that, I want to send out the Arcanine, because it could also extreme speed the Cresselia. If it does that, is that really a concern of mine? I don't think so, because we can extreme speed it anyway. Let's try and Thunder Wave it. Let's see what happens there. So it goes for the protect. And the Dragon Pulse obviously doesn't go off. But we can easily send in Arcanine here. Rayquaza can't do anything here. And we can simply Dragon Pulse and extreme speed. And just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so we're back, and unfortunately I didn't see us get the win here. But it looks like what happened was the Arcanine used extreme speed, the Rayquaza Dragon Ascended the Arcanine back, and we got the Dragon Pulse off, so that's all good. So, good first win there. Let's get straight on to the second one. as we have an interesting looking team. It's dual primal with Cresselia for speed control, the Whimsicott for potential speed control as well, and then potentially fast and slow modes with Kangaskhan and Aegislash respectively. So we could see a Kang Whimsy lead here, usually quite common and relatively decent against this team. So what can we do to stop that from giving us loads of shenanigans? What we can do is lead with Cresselia. I feel like Cresselia will be a good lead here. And I think what we can do is lead our own Kangaskhan as well. We'll have a bit of a mirror match here. Potentially the Arcanine could be quite nice with the Kangaskhan. And then we can have Dialga and Kyogre in the back as well. I quite like that idea. Because Arcanine puts on obviously a lot of pressure onto the Whimsicott, and Kang on Kang is always a big deal. So we'll have Dialga and Kyogre in the back. If he goes for a Trick Room mode, then not much we can do about that, as it does look like it is going to be a Trick Room mode. So what we will do is, this Aegislash, it can't really do too much for us, against us I want to say. I could be completely wrong in that, but all I can see it doing is maybe Shadow Balling and doing the Flash Cannon. I always forget the Flash Cannon name for some reason. So Whimsicott doesn't usually carry Protect, if I remember correctly, and I could be calling this completely wrong, but if it does Protect, then, well, I think what we can do is double into the Whimsicott here. Yeah, so we get the Fake Out off. Nice 2 hits, Flinch, Flamethrower. Yeah, so that's the Whimsicott down turn 1, which is great. And Flash Cannon into the Kangaskhan. Okay, so that's fine. So Whimsicott potentially going for a Tailwind there. Obviously going faster than the Arcanine. It is naturally faster than Arcanine anyway, so yeah, can't really do much about that. So what we can do here is we can't double protect. We will Will-O-Wisp the Kangaskhan, expecting a Fake Out into it. And this will do some really nice neutralising to that Kangaskhan. So King Shield from the Aegislash, Fake Out into the Arcanine. Okay, fair enough. Red card brings out the Groudon. Okay, nice. So we will outspeed this Groudon as well, which is great. And we will Hidden Power Water it. I'm not expecting this to get a KO, but I would just like to see how much it does. So let's see. Maybe my opponent doesn't fall for this, but I'd really like to just see how we can do this. This is the first opportunity we've had since we changed for HP Water 2 days ago to actually use it, so I am really excited to see if we can get this working. What's important to note here is that my opponent hasn't brought their Kyogre to this match either. So my opponent is thinking about this quite a lot, which is fair enough, they're entitled to do that. The Aegislash I feel like could go for a King Shield or something. We could also see a Fire Punch from the Groudon. So Groudon doesn't protect, and the HP Water is enough to KO, so that's a great turn for us. And we actually managed to get it off successfully, which is absolutely amazing. So we can Origin Pulse here fairly safely, and I am going to try and Will-O-Wisp this Kangaskhan again. What we could try and do is go for a Protect onto the Kyogre and a Will-O-Wisp again. And that way, well, Arcanine outspeeds Kangaskhan anyway, but the Fake Out, if it does want to Fake Out, then it does less damage to Kyogre. Potentially a safer play could have been to switch out the Arcanine as well and reuse that Intimidate. But we can always do that after this turn if the Arcanine stays alive. And the Will-O-Wisp hits, which is amazing. And Aegislash goes for the Shadow Ball into the Arcanine. So again, I'm quite happy with that. And I feel like we can excuse me if I can get my words out. We can Origin Pulse and Will-O-Wisp the Aegislash. Okay, so it goes for the Wide Guard, and Kangaskhan actually outspeeds. So the Arcanine, obviously I haven't made it faster than Kangaskhan, so something I do need to think about there. So Wide Guard is obviously successful there. So let's bring out the Kangaskhan here, and we can Fake it out and go for the... We'll go for the Ice Beam. We have to think about this a bit more because Dialga can't do too much to the Aegislash. maybe it was worth preserving that until later on in the game, because Aegislash can get the knockout onto Kangaskhan here. But if we can keep pinning it with Orange Impulse, then we can safely go for the fake out onto Kangaskhan here. As it does it go for the wide guard? It doesn't go for the wide guard, so it stays in its attack form, and we do get the double KO there. So the idea behind that, going for the Origin Pulse, is if it wide guards, then the Aegislash isn't KOing our own Kangaskhan. And I feel like if it keeps going for the wide guard, then there's very little offensive pressure going off there, and the Kyogre will outspeed the Aegislash, so if it doesn't go for a wide guard, then we should be knocking it out. Potentially a play from my opponent there could have been to King Shield first, and then go for an attack after it done that. But we take those, so that's 2 nice wins from 2 so far. As we have a team that's kind of 2014, 15 and 16, so we have the Pachirisu from the World's 2014 winning team. We have the Machamp from the 2015 Seniors winning team with Mark McQuillan, and then pretty much what you'd call Big 3 plus Aegislash. So a very interesting team there. I'm not sure what... I feel like Cresselia again could be good here with Kangaskhan. So we can get slow modes set up and protect ourselves from any nuzzles that the Pachirisu wants to do. Dialga is great here. And I want to bring Kyogre as well. I feel like the other 2 Pokemon aren't really needed here. So yeah, we do see Pachirisu and we see Machamp. So Machamp I expect will have knockoff or something to that extent, but we will safeguard and we will fake out the Pachirisu. Machamp could go for a big attack here, which we have to bear it in mind. I wonder if it's built to survive a Helping Hand double edge, because the Machamp does... we are quite fighting type weak, and I almost want to try and see if we can KO it straight away with a Helping Hand. What's its face? Double edge. Well, we could always go for the fake out onto it first, actually. Yeah, so let's go for the fake out and safeguard onto the Machamp. Or we could go for a protect. Quite a very passive play there. But let's safeguard and fake out the Machamp. Pachirisu probably will go for a nuzzle here, which I'm kind of okay with. It actually goes for follow me, so I'm not too concerned about that yet. You know, things might happen, so it's probably no guard we have to bear in mind as well, this Machamp. And let's go for, so we should be safe going for a Thunder Wave, and we can, oh mind you, if we go for the Thunder Wave and Pachirisu follows me, then we can't really do that. So let's go for a, this Pachirisu is supposed to be bulky, so we could Helping Hand the Kangaskhan and Double Edge. We'll Double Edge into the Machamp, and it switches out. If the Pachirisu follows me, then we take it out, which it doesn't, so we knock out a Mega, we get Mega Kangaskhan, which is great. So yeah, Nuzzle comes out, and we've got the safeguard, so Pachirisu there probably could have gone for a Super Fang, if it hasn't. So yeah, this is a pretty good position for us. I'm glad we were able to get that safeguard off. And potential misplay from my opponent there, trying to go for the follow me on the first turn instead of the Nuzzle onto the Kangaskhan. What we can do is Icy Wind, make sure we get the speed drops onto the Groudon. Groudon can't really do anything here. It could Eruption if it is special Groudon, which we could expect it to be. In which case Pachirisu could easily go for a follow me here, which is what I'm expecting. So what we'll do just in case is switch out the Kyogre, switch in for the Kyogre, and we'll go for the Icy Wind speed drops. So Pachirisu doesn't actually follow me. What is it trying to do here? So it Super Fangs the Cresselia, which is enough to launch the Citrus Berry. And it's Earth Power actually from Groudon, so it is special Groudon. What we can do is Icy Wind and... oh yeah, that's Origin Pulse. In fact, can we Helping Hand and Origin Pulse? We can hopefully get the KO onto the Pachirisu here with that. unless we miss, which we do. So that's unfortunate. Pachirisu with the Super Fang now. So let's go for the same play again. I don't see any reason why we can't, unless we miss again, which would be very unfortunate. That's why we don't run Origin Pulse. Maybe a Scald would have been a better option here, but I feel like Origin Pulse is an essential move, especially when you are running no other water type moves. You don't really want to run, what do you call it, Water Spout when you have a relatively slow Kyogre. And we do enough to KO the Machamp, which is great. So Groudon comes back in. What we can do is set up another safeguard and protect the Kyogre, and that way the Kyogre can't be nuzzled again for another few turns, and then we can send out either Dialga or Kangaskhan next turn. So follow me here, and Eruption, okay, fine by me. So Groudon has got its speed reset as well, so what we can do is fake it out, or threaten the fake out. If we keep the Cresselia in, go for a... In fact, we could switch out... I don't think a Nuzzle from here will KO the Cresselia, so what could go wrong with this play if we... So I feel like the Cresselia getting a speed drop off is important, but we can't protect it, and Cresselia is generally faster than the Primals. So how did we get the speed drop off the first time round? Was it a forced switch in? So we actually outsped it before, I think. Yeah, so the Groudon came in for the opposing Kangaskhan, and we got the speed drop off there. So we can Icy Wind here and switch out the Kyogre for... What do we want to switch it in for? I feel like Dialga here isn't doing much, so we might as well send it in here, try and get some additional chip onto my opponent's team. Yeah. So now we're faster than everything. Does a lot to the Dialga, which is fair enough. And let's switch in the Kangaskhan and threaten the fake out onto the Groudon. And we can Dragon Pulse. This Pachirisu should be Citrus Berry if I get my teams remembered correctly. So we can fake out this Groudon, reduce more of the potential damage there. Yeah, so it's Citrus Berry and Super Fang onto the Kangaskhan, that's fine. And what we can do here is... So this Pachirisu is obviously doing a lot of work with its thingies, its Super Fangs. I think what we can do here is knock it out with a Double Edge, and we can Dragon Pulse the Groudon. So it goes for the Follow Me, it's fine. We knock out. Dragon Pulse, ooh, big crit, that's helpful, and it Earth Powers the Kangaskhan. So potentially predicting a Kyogre switch in there, which, you know, I was considering, but felt I might as well just get the damage off with Kangaskhan onto that Pachirisu, stop it doing anything else. And my opponent forfeits. I mean, in terms of finishing and clearing up that game, Origin Pulse and Dragon Pulse would have finished off the game, so, well, even a Water Pulse actually, which would have been nice, 2 Water Pulses in one episode. But there we go, so that's another 3 wins from 3 there, so we're on a bit of a winning streak now. We've had 6 wins in the past 2 days. In fact, was this only my second game? I feel like it might have been. I'm going to have to go back and think, but I feel like that was only 2. Certainly felt short. No, we did have 3. I can't tell you exactly what I remember the other 2 games were, but... Oh no, so the first team was the Worlds team, the second one was a kind of Whimsicott team, and then the third one is this, you know, clash through the ages of Worlds winning teams. So it says here we've got a win-loss of 10-3, it should really be 11-3. So it's not, excuse me, God, hiccups. So it's not updating just yet, but we are solidly in the 1200s, which was our goal for this episode. We'll be on the higher end of the 1200s after this, I'd expect. So for tomorrow's episode, let me just think about this. I'm actually kind of busy tomorrow night, so tomorrow obviously being Friday, we'll see if we can get a video up. Unfortunately I can't make any guarantees right now, just because I'm going through quite a busy time over the next few days. So this weekend there won't be any videos, just with it being the weekend really, and I have other commitments anyway. And then on Monday I'm actually moving into my girlfriend, so a bit of insight into my personal life there. But my girlfriend has let me live with her and her family for a couple of months. We're currently going through the purchase, or the process of purchasing a house or a flat. So yeah, very exciting times for us, but it does mean that over the next couple of days at least, you know, the early days of next week, content might be a bit irregular, might not be there, just giving, you know, telling you now, putting, you know, managing expectations and all that. As I do get settled in with living with her and her family, and seeing if I can, you know, find a setup where I can record more of these videos. There may not be face cam like this straight away, but at the very least I'm hoping we can do some voice recordings and screen recordings and see where we can take things from there. But as always guys, thank you very much for watching this video. Really do appreciate the views I'm getting. It's obviously very low right now, but hopefully we can grow the channel and, you know, help me keep practicing and doing this. So as always, any advice that you can give me on my general playstyle, on the teams you want me to use, and the video in general, what I can do to improve this, do let me know. Very much appreciated. And you know what, let's try and get a few likes on this video if you've watched all this way. So thanks again, and I'll speak to you guys next time. Bye bye.